What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Hot Zone Podcast. Your boy XLC Gaming. And today's episode is going to be kind of a short one. Something I wanted to discuss that has come to my attention that I've been really just surprised and shocked about. Um, which is it's become unbelievably appropriate to delay games in the modern age of video games. And some of you guys probably will know what I'm talking about. And for those that don't, within the last 5 or so, 10 years, it has become commonplace, and I won't even say commonplace, it's become more acceptable to delay a game that is not finished. And it's just one of those things that's like it makes no sense to me because it wasn't always like this. You go back, 2015, 2013, 2009, etc. Games released the day they were announced. So if the game was going to be announced and it was announced and it says, hey, September 20th, we're releasing this game, it's coming out September 20th. Um, Call of Duty's always released on time. Battlefields, GTA's, well, mostly GTA's, um, and every other game under the moon. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that a game can't be delayed or shouldn't be delayed, but I definitely want to know why it's become acceptable socially. And the reason I'm saying this is because in the last few years, unlike the previous years, um, every game on the market has in some form delayed. Call of Duty and Battlefield are the only two games out there right now. Oh, and Borderlands 4, actually, because Borderlands 4 got pushed up. It actually got the opposite of a delay. But nonetheless, have had delays other than those few games. So, very odd, in my opinion. We had GTA 6 delayed. We have a rumor of a second delay coming. Um, we have all these indie games being delayed. We have main AAA titles being delayed or have been delayed. And it's become socially acceptable, actually, so far to the point where people are asking to have games delayed so they get more time. And I don't know when that happened because at least from when I started gaming in the big portion of my gaming life, it was unacceptable for a game to delay. Like if a game got delayed, people got nervous about the quality of that game. And now it's flipped on the head. Now if a game releases on time, there's concerns whether or not it'll be good. And if it's delayed, people are more accepting of the delay, right? Of the quality. And I think it comes down, my theory is it comes down to developers because today's gaming developers are lazy. They're oftentimes not intelligent. They are just intelligent enough to code a game. Um, and that's all they're good at. And I think that is a leading cause of why things are the way they are, why delays are happening so much more. You have these teams that are thousands of developers working on the same title. Like, for example, GTA 6, you've had, 3,000 devs working on the game for the last decade. And you telling me you have to delay it? For real? It just seems odd to me that we have to delay a game that's had so many people working on it for so long, with so many millions upon millions of dollars put into it. I think over $1 billion have been put into GTA 6 now, and we're delaying it, and now we're going to be possibly delaying it again, which seems wild in my opinion, like absolutely mind-boggling. Um, you got other games that are indie games that are delaying. Now, indie games I feel like are a little different because they're smaller teams. There's only one or two people on them, and they're usually not, making a lot of money off the game. So, they have to do it when they can, and that's fine. But we have these big AAA developers who are being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. Some of them probably getting paid more than that, who are supposed to be good at their job, who are struggling to make games in the modern age. Black Ops 6, 7, Cold War, all of these games, Modern Warfare 2019, were all mediocre fucking titles for Call of Duty, made by the same developers who have made some of the best Call of Duties ever. and this is the content you're pushing out, it just seems like a huge oversight in gaming development, in my personal opinion. If you have a different opinion, I'd be love to hear it as well down below. But I definitely think a lot of it comes down to is people know the developers. Either there's two sides of the aisle. There's either the people like me who know the developers are ass, and either are aware that it takes them longer to get the quality product we want, and so we're willing to accept the delay in order to acquire higher quality games. Or the opposite side of the aisle, they're either um, people either hate the developers or they love the developers, and so that determines whether or not they're going to like or dislike the delay. A lot of people right now are in the pro developers area, anti, people who hate developers, anti management, but they're more pro developers, and that's fine. I mean, developers are human beings; they deserve some respect, but let's be honest with ourselves. Developers in video games the last couple of years have been awful. The only game franchises that come to mind that have been good quality is been Borderlands 4 was great. They did a fantastic job with that game. Um, the Last of Us series was great in the last couple of years. Um, we had Horizon Forbidden West, which was one of the best, if not in my opinion, the best game we've had in this decade. Um, and obviously you can go further back for other games, but there's been very few games in the modern age that have had such passion and such high quality content compared to previous years. And I do believe it also comes back down to again that developers are getting lazier. They're getting more laid back. They are less concerned with the quality of their content because they're less concerned their job is going to be at risk. Um, and unfortunately, Borderlands 4, I think, learned this the hard way, and I think that's why Borderlands 4 is so good with the Borderlands with Gearbox. I think it's Gearbox, right? Which was acquired by another company, which basically went bankrupt or whatever, and they end up selling them back to the to 2K. So they lost a lot of employees for Gearbox, and I think that showed them really quickly that their jobs were important and they were also finite, right? Could go away. And so again, I think developers have gotten so comfortable in their positions that no one's willing to actually put the effort in, right? It's the same way with like any other job, right? Like if you work at a bank and there's people applying left and right for bank teller, you're going to make sure that your job is done correctly, right? Because they could easily replace you. But if you work as a bank teller and there's no one applying for your job and you're the only person that's even interested in this job, you're going to get away with a lot of stuff because they're not going to be able to replace you. And again, that's kind of what's happening right now. There's so many developers out there that are just so contained in their specific business or company or whatever studio that they've become so comfortable with not doing the A tier work that they normally would. Apex is a perfect example. Is Apex had who makes Apex? Respawn. They had Titanfall 2 and Titanfall 1 and 2, and they gave up. They just made Apex Legends, called it a day, and they did not make Titanfall 3, which was a huge disaster because that was a fantastic franchise that could have really went somewhere. It could have been the new game to really challenge Call of Duty and Battlefield in the FPS scene, and they didn't do it. And so, at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where I'm hoping that we see a resurgence in quality games in the next decades to come, and I think hopefully GTA 6 will be the kind of catalyst for that, the egg, you could say, the birth of a new generation of video games. I mean, just think about when was the last time you played a video game that had the same impact that the original God of Wars had, the original Last of Us, the originals, not the remasters, the original Call of Duties, the original Battlefields, the original GTAs. Remember when GTA 5 first dropped, or even Fortnite at launch. And I could go on forever for the games, the OG WWE games, the OG 2K games. Like, when have there been games in the recent decades that have been as good as those? There's not very many. It's very rare. And so I think that's a big problem within the community. And again, this all circles back to delays. Because from my personal opinion, from how it's looked, delays usually negatively impact a game more than it helps. Usually delays either kill the hype for the game. So if a delay like GTA 6 hype has already been killed. Like people aren't talking about it, people don't care about it. So when it releases in May, it'll do well. But if they would have released it this year, the outcome would have been even better. Or in cases like, you got some of these games that delay and they come out and they're bad. What was that game called? There was a game that came out recently that was terrible. It was like a $60 pre-order, and it came out. It was trash, and that because of the delay, right? The delay killed the hype, and when the game finally dropped, it was trash, and people were mad. And delays also oftentimes cause more gameplay issues than just releasing the game at one point and continuously building upon that and fixing it. GTA is a perfect example of this, right? GTA 6 is, from what my sources say, have been delayed. It was delayed because of due to figuring out bugs, right? They had a lot of bugs. They were trying to get those bugs worked out. But at the end of the day, all you do when you fix a bug is create a new bug, right? And that's why you need players on your game to find those bugs to get those bugs fixed. And right now, you're fixing bugs in games that aren't out to the public. And you might have all the time in the world, but you're going to find bugs that you don't even know exist when other people play your game. And I think that's very, very important to just the security of your product. Now, doubt it. I think most people kind of agree with me in the sense that like the idea of delaying is negative, but I think there's also a lot of people who have just accepted it as a newfound normal within the communities. And oftentimes, too, when it comes to delays, a lot of times these developers will end up having to give more rewards to our people that are members of like pre-orders or members of early access groups. And what that ends up doing as well is pulling resources from the development to make these items. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You might be able to make the game a little smoother, but you're losing quality in other places. And I like to say that's what's happening with Call of Duty, where their resources are going to certain areas, and the rest of the areas are getting neglected in a way. But that's my opinion on it. If you guys have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. This is something I think is a very interesting discussion that can be had. This is really a discussion that both sides of the aisle have very valid arguments, and I think this is something that is not a harmful discussion. I just think it's something that we should really take in consideration as a community, as gamers, when we are discussing how we want games to be made and how we want them to release. I mean, I don't personally want to wait a decade to play a GTA. I think that they need to figure their shit out, right? I don't think they have the sustainability to keep this up for more than what they have. I think between GTA 6 and 7, I don't think we will see such a large time period. I don't believe that. I believe come GTA 6, we're going to have that for like 5 years, and I promise you we're probably going to have GTA 7 just simply off the fact that I don't think financially they have, I don't think they'll do that again with as much money as they've lost. Unless they make a trillion back, I don't think they'll do that. But that's just me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Hot Zone Podcast with your host, Alex Gaming. Next weekend, I don't know what we're going to talk about next weekend. I have to think about it. But this week, we got tons of content this week. We got Battlefield 6 this week. We have still Black Ops 7 beta yet. We got some Delta Force coming up, some Borderlands 4, and we got DayZ. So tons of content coming. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. You're awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.